up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Maggie, and me bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 13.25, The Wild Hunt, where we are covering the novel Deadbeat. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jim Butcher, Tanzan, and Harry Dresden, without which we would not have a podcast without any of the three of you. Happy birthday to you. Woo! As of this podcast coming out, this episode, I mean, tomorrow is Jim Butcher's birthday, Wednesday is Tanzan's, and Thursdays will be Harry's. Aww.
Just us Scorpios.
Isn't it exciting to have Harry's birthday in the novel and in the real world all at the same time?
All at the same time.
We planned that so perfectly.
And the novella I just finished yesterday finished on Halloween too.
Gosh,
so
that's
very
true.
good. Yeah.
Chapter 32. Harry goes back to Murphy's and gets updated from Thomas, Butters, and Bob on the current theories of where the Necromancers will end up. Harry asks Thomas to send a message to the Wardens and then gets ready to call upon the Erlking.
Thomas and Bob have the perfect reaction, obviously, because it's all of our reaction too. It's like, motherfucker!
Holy crap.
Fuck?
And I love this whole, like,
Butter's like, what? What's going on? What?
every consideration before the fact that they would draft him, right? Like, you stole a coat,
Oh my
you found
God,
it on a dead warden, and then, oh my God, how bad are things? Well, they drafted me. It's the exact conversation we've just had in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much, right? But I like, okay, so we know Harry's love. I mean, okay, again, for, nefarious purposes in the name of doing good, maybe, Harry might have cause to steal a warden's cloak the same way, everybody steals a cop uniform or an army uniform in any given movie or show or whatever, right? Sure, I get. But I'm like, to just steal one off a dead, right? Harry's going along and being like, oh, dead warden, I totally want that cloak. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna add it to the costume shelf.
I guess, but I just, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess you just need to, I need to sneak around headquarters. Let me just grab a cloak or something.
No bloodstains.
and leave the sword behind too. I already own a sword, but I don't have a sick cloak.
Yeah, right. Oh, I don't know, I guess, maybe that's that whole, specially crafted for you or something, it's just isn't balanced for me. I'm just not going to take your super
It's like
special,
a video
super
game.
Cool.
You take everything off the dead body, even if it's just a rusty old spoon. You're like, mine. I'll sell this for a copper.
yeah, right.
Do I need a cloak? Do I need a warden's cloak? No, I do not. But
it's
someone
here.
wants this, and I don't have it.
If I don't take it, somebody else will, so might as well be me.
I just got this new text game, and one of the things that you can pilfer corpses, and exactly like that, one of them is this glass eye, and you can equip it. I'm too scared to try. I'm like, no.
That's cool. It's probably
No.
cursed, but it'd be fun.
Yeah. Equip it to what?
I saw a really funny TikTok, and it's the title of it is Skyrim NPCs putting a rusty spoon and a gold coin in every drawer of their house.
I saw this one the other day, and I don't remember what she called it because it was kind of a funny title, but this woman actually had a glass eye, and she swapped it out all the time for different stuff. And some of them were just cool, and some of them were totally creepy and so yeah, you could have your typical white film, no eye, or one of them had 3 little eyeball pupils and things on it, and I was like, that's actually kind of funny. I'm like, it's weird. I've never really thought a lot about somebody having to put in and out an eye frequently. That seems kind of odd. But at the same time, yeah, I was like, man, you could really mess with people. Like Halloween, just how much fun.
Victoria Modesta, and if I say that wrong, I apologize, but she's this singer with a prosthetic leg, but she always switches out her prosthetics for it's almost like art installations.
Right.
But it's really cool.
Just something always funky. Yeah, see? It's cool. Why not, right? I mean, hey.
So, obviously, Harry gives them the update, and it's essentially just bad news, okay? There's 5, they're in town, they're all injured, and there isn't even enough of them to track us, so...
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right? Because, immediately upon finding out that Tom is very, not subtly, very pointedly, is like, so are they all with you? Harry's like, don't worry. The 5 of them are currently holed up, switching bandages.
I sent you out for milk, and you've enlisted?
Right? But,
An hour ago, they were just talking about, technically we're on opposite sides. And then Harry's like, it wasn't official enough. Thomas, we're at war. Get out of my house. I'm tired of having a roommate. Instead of an eviction notice, I'm just going to go sign up for the
behead you. It's fine. It's fine.
And following up that point is Bob's immediate summary of what this means.
Yeah, you get to convict on suspicion. You get to
take justice into your own hands and convict on suspicion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their job. That's it. Good job.
Go around beheading willy-nilly. It's
not wrong.
Fine. Yeah. And again, you gotta love this. It's not even amorality because it's not anti. It's just non-morality or whatever that Bob has, right?
Total absence of judgment.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, good, bad, pros. It's just whatever. He's like, all right, cool. Now we get to go do all this shit that the Wardens been doing. And he's like, no, oh, dude.
Turns out that that Thomas found some information out and may or may not have used Harry as an excuse to blackmail Laura.
Here's the difference between infamy and famous is when people just start name dropping you on your behalf to get shit done.
I mean, I think both of those work in that case.
But I just imagine the alpha showing up to Box. I need this thing. Yeah, I'm not allowed to just hand this out to... well, Harry told me to come and get it. In all sorts of different ways that people could use and abuse this.
I think that the name dropping works for both, Fammy? How come it's infamy but not like that? I don't know what that.
Fame?
Yeah. It's funny.
No,
it's like,
Fammy is the Latin word.
That E is pronounced
For me.
You don't say like in fame. It's just funny how it's one of those ones that's like you talk about being overwhelmed or underwhelmed but not like whelmed and things. Anyways, so yes, between fame and infamy is that you named it. It's just whether it's to impress or intimidate is what right? So you're like, well, Madonna sent me down here to pick this up. And you're all like, oh my God, oh, sure, Madonna, right? Whereas if you're Harry, you're like, oh my God, please don't come and kill me, right? So that's
roll persuasion or intimidation.
Exactly. Oh my God, it's so funny in the episodes that I've been watching lately of Critical Role, and they're all like, insight check. And now they're all making fun of it because players are just supposed to be like, do I believe it or not? And the DM decides if you roll an insight check, but they just, because every time they ask, he's like, roll an insight check to find out. So now the characters just constantly, they're like, insight check. And he's like, it was really funny.
I roll a strength check. No, bitch. I tell you what to
Yeah, exactly, right.
Just for that, you're rolling something else.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I don't do this well, but this is my... it's just funny, because I was like, same thing, so I'm so used to them doing it, because they did it all throughout the first campaign, that it's like, technically, if you go back to that's my job to go. Yeah. Just giving.
So Laura's people find out that there's a bunch of Native American artifacts and weapons that are in town, and that the National Guard are going to try to come help out, because things are crappy.
Yeah, there's got this whole big weird outage, and Harry, aside from kicking himself, I should have thought of that, because Corpse Taker just put together this whole Indian artifact thingamajigger. Duh. But yeah, he's not sure if he's impressed to find out that he blackmailed the White Corp by proxy. And I love Tom. He's like, yeah, you got a great big pair of brass balls on you, don't you?
Apparently.
I guess I do.
Thanks.
Yeah. I thought Laura wasn't talking to you. Just because she cut me off and doesn't hear to me and won't talk to me, what makes you think she doesn't like me anymore? But yeah, phones and everything are completely out. They're down to radios and stuff now because it's getting that much worse. So Harry's going to send out Thomas as his messenger.
This is the thing about this whole conversation that is surprising to me, because Thomas and Harry are going back and forth about whether or not this is a smart idea to send Thomas out to deliver a message to the Wardens at the hotel, and who cares about all the little odds and ends and whether or not, you'll go through 7 proxies or not. This is the first time that I was able to confirm that they just straight up say that Thomas is a vampire in front of Butters, and Butters has zero reaction to that news whatsoever. I'm like, did Thomas tell him when they were at home together alone? Did he tell him tonight while they're at Murphy's? Did Harry ever drop it? Why, this whole time it just seems,
Yes, I don't think I noticed that.
Potentially another wizard who lives in my home, or someone who's just aware of the supernatural, maybe like Murphy. This is the first time that it's been straight up that we've seen in text.
Yeah.
Thomas is a vampire, by the way. They kind of mentioned we're at war together. They've kind of mentioned these things, but
yeah. That's kind of funny because
to me, if you don't know Thomas is a vampire, they wouldn't have given it away until this conversation. And Butters is fully just I don't care. There's been so much shit tonight. He's on our side. He can be a vampire. Who cares?
Yeah. That is.
He just chose to ignore it, without even thinking about it.
He was there that night, by the way, when you identified vampire corpses. There's been none of that sort of. This is your connection to Thomas, by the way.
Well, and that's the thing, is I was just, as you were mentioning that, because exactly that's what started Butters really on this whole ride was Bianca's party. So not only did it get him, loony bin, job at stake, all this kind of stuff, but presumably, Murph or whatever, cluing him in, explained to him how these are very not nice, right? So again, unless you went all through all of them, right? Yeah, first thing is you're like, oh my God, you were one of those scary demonic things I autopsied 3 years ago or however long it's been now, right? What the fuck, dude?
And especially because Butters is doing the first aid on Harry from the vampire raid just a year ago, too. You think it'd still be fresh in his mind. Vampires are real and bad. What do you mean you're harboring one and dating one? And
yeah. What else? Whatever you thought, yeah.
And I checked. I went back to that conversation. I'm too stubborn to die. Thomas is too pretty to die. Poca will never die. It's not Thomas is a vampire with super strength and is amazing. It's
no.
Thomas is pretty.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking at it here, and I mean, technically, he says that I called my sister, and then Harry's like, so you're willing to tell me I just engaged in blackmail against the ruler of the White Court? So it doesn't actually say the word vampire, so I mean, it's loose enough that you could probably get away with saying that he just doesn't really make the connection that White Court is also vampires.
Correct. Up until the conversation, a page or two later, when he actively is saying, me as a vampire can't go to a hotel and talk to the Wardens.
Oh, really? Oh my God. Okay, yeah, that is... Okay. You're on it.
Yeah, so that's funny. So I would just have to say that, yes, at some point, either... over the course of this book, like you say,
he doesn't say exactly. I don't want to be wrong about this. I had it in my head that they straight up said, you are a vampire, you can't go talk to them. But maybe I'm wrong now that I'm looking at it, and I was just because I had
Do a search term for vampire in that chapter, maybe?
That's what I thought. Was it the straight up word vampire was used?
Oh, Thomas, to the Wardens, you're nothing but a White Court vampire.
Thank you.
But he says it quietly. I said quietly. Thomas.
But that could just have been, for the depth of the... I'm willing to...
I mean, if they're all sitting around a table, right? How private is it?
Right.
Yeah. I think I'm willing to give that perhaps at the beginning when he first stashed him there. Maybe one or other of them gave an explanation at some point as to why Thomas could protect him. Or maybe, again, because we know shortly after this that Thomas has cleared up the mistaken assumption of their relationship. Maybe he said, I'm his brother or whatever, right? So automatically that right there. Or again, during the whole course of that, I'm his half-brother because I'm actually kind of a sex vampire, but I'm a good guy because
Dad's a vampire, Mom's a witch. Bit of a nasty scare when she found out.
Right? But yeah, exactly right. So, but yeah, that's funny that normally those things, like you say, are addressed at some point on screen to kind of give you the little bit.
I just think this is the one moment where scared little Butters has a genuine opportunity to be like, you guys didn't mention this at all, you motherfuckers.
Right. Or yeah.
Maybe he mentioned at the time that he was correcting because we find out later that he's,
Well,
that Thomas is updating him on.
Yeah, and that's
I get
Maybe he's like, yeah, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a vampire, and he's not actually gay, and
yeah.
Butters and Thomas have had ample opportunity alone this entire novel to have had any conversation that we're not privy to.
But yes, like you say, normally it would have, been
an
mentioned
on-screen
at something.
conversation.
Exactly. Or mentioned that, oh, by the way, well, before he wound down his one-man polka band, I
just casually dropped.
I just casually dropped that I was a vampire, and that's why, Harry was leading me here to defend him all by my lonesome, and why carry around a cavalry sword and a giant desert eagle, and I don't know, but yeah, exactly right. You'd think it would have been. But like you say, it could also just be the rest of it too, that at this point, Butters is like,
You're seemingly on our side.
I've got a talking skull. I've got necromancers after me. I've got, sure.
logic circuit broken.
Right. Harry just joined the wizard secret police. What's a fucking vampire? And Arg like, of course, right? Yeah, sure. But yeah, that's funny. I've never picked up on that before specifically.
Well, I'm better than you guys, so what can I say?
Yeah.
Maybe I picked up on it the first time and just don't remember.
And that's, entirely probable.
Oh, man. Instantly lost my edge. Thanks a lot.
That's okay. I'm sure if it has come up somewhere and we are all just glossing over it, I'm sure they will let us know and somebody will have the moment in which it was actually covered.
So Harry opens up about his plan to trap the Erlking in a binding circle, which Bob thinks is colossally stupid.
Yeah, well...
He's like, oh no, what?
No.
He's gonna kill you. Even if it works, he's gonna kill you.
Right, and he has alluded to it up until now talking to it, but again, I believe in this chapter or very soon in the next one, he literally refers to him as a peer of Mab. Right? So, before we're like, oh, he's kind of like there, he's sort of up close. Yeah, he's saying, yeah, I am doing to do this to a peer of Mab. And
we saw that fairy war.
and Bob, Thomas, Harry, whoever's making the point, all of them in some way, it's true. They're like, even if this works, he's going to come back and kick your ass afterward.
Tomorrow, the day after.
Yeah, like you might be able to stop this now, but he is not going to appreciate this. He is not going to take this lightly. I like Harry, I think it's what he's setting up the circle, so I think it's probably, next chapter, but, he's like Spider trapping a Bengal tiger, and he's like, but the Bengal tiger's not going to bother to worry about squishing the spider for making the attempt, whereas, yeah, the fairies fucking hold grudges and shit and everything, supernatural the whole, so...
And the extent that Harry has gone to rack up debt with the fairies already. You had an issue with Leah. Leah's now sold her debt to Mab. You've got this problem already. You're known for slaying the summer lady. It's like, what? Who cares? What's one more?
He just keeps. He's like, I got into trouble with Leah and I got bought out with Mab. So then I did a favor for Mab and then I saw this fairy wars. Then I got rid of the fairy queen. Right? He keeps kind of just walking that line of being
indictively fucking with the little folk when it's convenient to me.
These are tomorrow problems.
Everything is always a tomorrow problem.
Always. Yeah, exactly. Right.
So this conversation opens up two more avenues for me, one of which, Harry, okay, hindsight, I can't exactly remember what I thought the first time I read this, but there is a difference in side characters. You've got sidekicks and you've got civilians or victims or, they don't really matter as much.
The red shirts.
And to me, and again, this is on the millionth reread a decade later, who knows, but how you can ever confuse Butters with a civilian or, as you said, a red shirt, red coat, whatever, versus a sidekick.
Red coat.
The American Civil War, they're just automatically going to lose.
You're the smart one that knows everything. Yeah, continue with your analogy. Sorry I ever doubted you. Watch out, Harry. The redcoats are coming. The redcoats are coming.
Tonight they are.
Valid point.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you that one.
Redeemed.
I set you up for that one. Come on, it was a gimme.
No, it's mine. Planned it all from the start.
You can find us here every Friday, folks. So Butter, you're not going to mistake Butters for a sidekick or a red coat. Or
this whole dismissal of Butters when he's done this multiple times in the novel where he's tried to tell Harry something and he's dismissed. Not now, Butters. I'm moping. Just let me think. Just let me relax. Just let me sleep. Just let me have a moment of calm, please. And it's so annoying. You see it all the time in media where the main character will just not listen to the guy going, Harry, you're about to die right now. And then it's like, what now? Oh my God, shit, why didn't you say anything? He does this so many times, and it's so frustrating to see for the billionth time. It's like, Harry, just let him finish his sentence, dude. He's not as dumb as you think. You specifically asked him to stick around to be the smart guy, and then you just dismiss him every time he wants to tell you something that's going on. And he's like, just talk to Bob. Just talk to Bob. It doesn't matter. Leave me alone. I'm too cool for you. I'm too far above your level.
I do get what you're saying, and you're right. A lot of times, yeah, it is kind of that trope that annoys me in media and stuff like that too, where like you say, there's a reason that they're doing it and it's going to come back. This specific scene right here didn't the same way, because I don't think it's the same, wow, Harry, you're going to take 17 more chapters to suddenly make this realization because you didn't listen to it now. He is just asking sort of for history and backstory and the, building blocks of, right? And I do get a little bit at this point that, yeah, Harry is, again, right, he's been doing his usual beat to shit, running around, don't have time to take a nap and get better, right? Where I'm like, he's got to go out and do this thing. I'm like, I sort of don't blame him for wanting the cup of tea right now and not wanting to fill his head with all this explanations of how to make and what makes a good zombie. I mean, like you say, we get a little bit of useful information here because, we'll find out, some of it's relevant shortly, but...
Well, and it's a bit of the writer function from the writer to not have to really review yet again for the audience.
Yeah.
And to get your character up to speed.
Yeah, so...
Okay, I get that, but as a sounding board, that generally helps. Go over your facts and do whatever, and sometimes starting over at grade 1 math again reminds you of the basics enough to be like, oh shit, right. But also, I guess, okay... This sentence could be interpreted two ways, but the whole point of I could see the gears winding up in Butter's brain, and I guess you can see that as like a wind-up toy where it's like, it doesn't matter, it's just gonna go, 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 go. But for me, I read it the first time as, he's building to something, Harry, let him cook.
Okay, yeah, see, and I read it more the other way of a child gearing up to I'm just getting going, I got 1,000,001 more questions, and you're like,
Yeah, and I think I took it as a leveling the character up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's like
three interpretations. All right.
Right, and this is the joy of reading and subjectivity.
So then my secondary follow-up to that same moment there is Bob emphatically saying, I am a he, not an it.
Yes.
Why do you think Bob's pronouns are the way they are? Because the skull that he came from was a male body, or because just the spirit that he is, his parents produced a boy?
I think the spirit that he is, because he refers to seducing shepherdesses before you were a twinkle in your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandsister's eyes.
Oh, fairies can't be gay?
So... okay, not that thing. Well, but my point.
How do we analyze that statement?
Needs no analyzation. The answer. Analysis.
Don't want to get on the political. No, I meant because presumably those many grandcestor ages ago, he was not yet living in this skull, but he was still a he. So yes, a he who happens to like women, as evidenced by the fact that he likes to sneak into sorority college dorms and...
Sexuality is not the same thing as gender identity.
And read booby magazines and... Okay, fine, sorry. But, I just meant that we have seen Bob. So I meant my point there. If Bob wanted to... was looking at dick pics all the time, I could still say he was a he. But it was more just that, yeah.
Has Bob always been in the form... like this little light thingy?
He's a spirit of air and knowledge, so yeah.
Spirit of intellect, okay. So he's only ever been this thing. His house is the skull.
Yeah.
Currently.
That's a place for him to live and reside in the mortal world.
And he's an intellect, so he can identify with whatever he wants, which is, in this case, a he.
A he, yeah. So he cannot identify morality. But gender, sex, whatever that is to Bob is that, yeah.
Bob has access to every gender and sexuality on the earth, and he chose a straight boy.
Well, I'm suddenly doubting your intellect here. Wait a minute, Bob.
Proof you don't get to choose.
And would it change if you had a female owner?
It is supposed to be a little bit reflected by the owner. That's a good point. All we've known of Bob's personality so far is that Harry's a horn dog.
Directly through, yeah.
If only Elaine had fished Bob out of the ashes, maybe we'd have a more respectable character.
I don't know.
Not that I like Elaine, but I imagine she's not to the...
Then we'd have Bobby with an eye.
But yeah, I just assumed that, yes, whatever created Bob in his essence, that has been sort of him from the start whenever he took on because, yeah, he's referring to stuff way, way back when it's the same and never says, when I was a little girl growing up in, and whatever.
Fair enough. That's all I have for this chapter.
But yes, as a parent, I relate with Harry's, just here, Bob, you answer your questions. Although I like, once again, playing on Bob's ego, where he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play kindergarten. But at the same time, he's like, okay, but I do totally know all of this stuff. So I guess I will prove it to you by answering all your questions.
Everyone likes playing trivia when they're the smartest person in the room.
Right. So yeah, I guess that's about it. He's going to send Thomas out to go deliver this message. And Thomas is like, this really doesn't seem like a good idea. And Harry's like, you're not going anywhere near them. It's fine. Go to the front desk. And he decides he's just going to give him Murphy's motorcycle to do this. Because why not? She's not here. It'll be fine. And yeah, he's got Butters downloading his big knowledge spew on everything necromantical or whatever. And Harry's just going to take his little moment of zen to calm and pull himself together before he has to go out and do this really crazy ass spell and try to trap a Bengal tiger in his little spider web.
You're very lucky Murphy didn't want to park at the airport. She had someone drive her, get a taxi.
Well, just
took
her
cop
bike.
car.
We know Murphy has a civilian vehicle too. Murphy has a sedan or something like that. She doesn't have to always be in her cop car.
All right.
So it makes sense. She took her. I mean,
Wasn't it a Saturn too at that? I forget.
Oh, you're right. I feel like it might have been.
We find out what it is.
The only car that existed in the early 2000s.
Well,
Presumably.
What Tansen was driving, and henceforth what I drove to everyone.
That's the only thing I know.
Yeah.
I test drove my friend's one. He lent it to me so I could take a little day trip. And then I was like, I really like this car. So I bought it.
Hey, man, it lasted. It was like the Beetle, practically. That thing was held together by a, scotch tape and a prayer, but it went a really long time.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 33. Harry calls upon and traps the Erlking. While Harry struggles to maintain the binding, he is assaulted by Cowl, freeing the Erlking and beginning the wild hunt.
So we're back to these fun ritual potion sort of things where we've got the essence of who you're summoning, what you're summoning, and who you yourself are doing the summoning, which is, of course, very, very fun. Good creativity every time we see this. And I appreciate Harry's, if only I had months, if only I could have had the greatest and bestest ingredients in the world, this could have been so nice. And I feel like that still wouldn't have actually been that great. I feel like that actually wouldn't have mattered. It's all about intent anyways, so who cares maybe it would make you more confident, but...
Yeah, and it is largely like Harry has said before, and obviously as evidenced in the outcome of this, that you're right, intent has the biggest bearing. This goes back to Kim Delaney and Book 2 and Harley McFinn and stuff like that, I think, with his circle. So his super powerful cursed werewolf thingy, he had this circle of gold and silver and jewels and that's what they had to and worked really good for holding him all the time. And then Kim's makeshift jerry-rigged fix to it wasn't good enough. So I'm again, the intent is definitely, but I do think, I see what Harry's saying here to a degree about if he'd had these really fine tools and things like that, really fine, it would help maybe channel and direct and, instead of him having to use all of, some of it could have come from the materials. But yeah, I think probably part of that would be just the confidence of, you say, maybe entrusting in your, this is super tough and it looks really cool and absolutely it's gonna.
So I get all of the Erlking's items.
Are you wondering about the same thing I'm wondering about?
Why he has his own representation stuff?
No.
No, that makes sense because he's a part of the spell too. He's got to be like,
Yeah,
He's
not-
crafting
the outside
this.
holding it in.
Matching will against, yeah.
Okay.
The parking ticket.
Right? Okay.
Just like I laugh in the face of law. I haven't paid
I'm like,
it yet.
is this
I park
like,
where
you
I
like to go speeding around, like
Broadcast
when
me.
you're hunting?
Right.
When you're, yeah, that was the same one
get
that.
authority. I just that's the one here. The cult, fine. The Mother's Pentacle, fine. Okay, even the Hobbit is very much the we stand in the face of evil and we persevere anyways.
And Harry is just a reader of things like this, and the whole, most of us, probably, that, yeah, this was Butcher's, right? Sick with the chicken pox. His sister buys him books. This was his big love into, sword and fantasy and all this kind of stuff, which is why Harry exists to this day, right? So between Harry and Butcher kind of a thing, right? We know why Hobbit, Tolkien, all that kind of stuff is, right? We know Harry's a big reader, right? When we are introduced to Harry, he is thumbing through his box of books again, tossing another one in the dung pile because he's got no work, right? So, but yeah, the parking ticket was the same thing. The one thing to me that I was like, I do not see how this fits in with like hunting or anti-hunting or...
It does sort of follow up on it a little bit later in another chapter, though.
it's cute.
Yeah.
The parking ticket?
Kind of.
Oh.
Because I'm like, oh, maybe this will be a...
This will be Tanzin's chance to school us.
Right?
Something we've missed.
Because he intentionally, at the Field Museum, parks in a no parking zone because it entertains him.
That's true.
That's fair enough, I guess.
Maybe so.
He does just laugh in the face of authority.
maybe
I get that.
But it's funny because he just has a parking ticket I hadn't paid yet, and I'm never going to pay or anything either. But yeah, it's funny. You're right. That the one thing to me is I did not get the automatic association there with, right? Because the other things all have to do with
His parking ticket from the night that I murdered a vampire.
oh no, wait, this is fairies though. From parking at the docks the night I murdered Aurora.
What does it say about Harry? That he's kind of a little bit on the irresponsible side? That
Throw caution to the wind. I park where I want. He's so bad.
Like the meeting got sent
he's like,
the
oh,
other
fuck
day
it,
with
this'll work, whatever.
doofing schmerts and the emergency lights.
And then you've got the Erlking who gets summoned by this and is like, oh wow, the biggest nerd in the universe has summoned me. Like, yeah, Boy Scout, you didn't pay your parking ticket. Join my hunt. Sure, whatever.
Nothing says badass. Yeah,
We'll just take anyone, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not even like a reckless driving or a speeding ticket, as I sort of. Yeah, I'm like, it's literally like
parking, and you already don't even have to pay half of those.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that's funny. I like that we both sort of went, what? Yeah. Yeah, and I'm impressed. He doesn't even stab himself on the barbed wire. He's putting this thing together.
I thought he
is
did. Focused.
Well, he does eventually, I think, to initiate the circle. But while he's actually just putting it out, he manages not to fuck himself over with an entire roll
Only
of
on
barbed
purpose,
wire.
okay?
Yeah, only when he's done, then he pricks his finger to, But just Harry being here, and especially with a shredded pant, I'm like, I would have been fucking so wrapped up in that thing, I would have been tripping over it and getting it snagged on everything. And he's like, I'll just straighten it out a little as I go. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I guess he does still have
yeah, I was like,
God, how devastated he looks.
Right.
How could I forget? But I did.
Yeah.
So yes, he takes off the glove and uses his scarred hand to cut himself over and to ignite the
I'm not
circle.
gonna feel it anyways.
It's already a fucked up hand. Who cares? Sacrifice
Right.
it.
Am I gonna notice the scarf?
And he starts chanting. And this is really great. You feel so... Yes, Harry, you're doing it. You're gonna fuck everyone else. Just
Well, and I do as he starts this all too, I do like the scene they set that it's still raining. He's like, the sun is going down, it's overcast. He has to get out these glow sticks, so everything's got this greenish, goldish, weird, right? His blood, right?
Radioactive.
It does this nice kind of setting of this scene, how he is reduced to this little circle in the backyard because between the weather and the magics and the time of day and all this kind of stuff, right? So you're already setting up this very Halloween-y, calling this big dark present. He's got, pumpkins and dog collars and...
could you imagine 30 kids just march up to this house trick or treat, sir? We love the display.
right. Oh my God. I don't understand though. What's the parking ticket for?
Ooh, this is something to scare your parents with.
It's a glimpse of your future self.
My T4 is in the other corner.
I think they call it something different
In the States, oh, I don't know.
all I can think of is like your 401k, but that's not the same thing as your...
Wait, no.
Oh, yeah, like your W-2 forms or something.
I got no idea what Americans call their taxes.
Yeah, tax forms, but yeah.
My IRS evasion papers.
Eviction papers. I was going to say, too, just because as I was finishing it off with, like, he's got his pumpkin and the thing, and you start talking about 30 kids, I'm just suddenly imagining, like, the Peanuts crew pulling up, waiting for, like, the Great Pumpkin or something. Imagine, like, Charlie.
Waiting for you to do something. Who is that, Lionel?
Well, no.
Linus.
I do now. I see it. They're in the bushes.
Right.
Wow.
Charlie Brown, who can't see out of his...
Come to find out, Harry has had a Linus all day long. 2 of them, actually.
Right.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. So, yeah. So you start, like you say, he's got it all set up. The scene is very thematic and set, and you're like, yes. You're like,
You wouldn't want to do
Very
this on a nice day. If you're going to be calling them up, like, set the mood,
wouldn't
have the
work
tone.
this-
It's
right.
The vibes are perfect right now. Immaculate.
Like Snoopy, it was a dark and stormy night.
Harry should have
Just
put up a
know.
fucking birthday candle instead of a parking ticket.
Well,
This is my day, motherfucker.
all right. I do really like that the Erlking's shadow appears first before he actually...
Ooh, isn't that a nice...
Before he
element?
actually completes the summoning, it's like just this image of...
But
like,
there was
yes.
nothing there to cast it.
Give some PTSD from the nightmare earlier.
Right.
It's very cool.
It is very cool.
Not only that, when he fully manifests, he doesn't speak out loud. He talks directly into his mind.
Why waste your breath, I guess?
Whoa!
I love the confidence of the Erlking that was clearly expecting this to happen. He knew he was going to get called up tonight of all nights. He's ready to party. This is my time. Let's go. Whoever the fuck is calling me is down to party, and I'm ready to go.
Which is fair because they do talk about that a lot about, right, speaking something's name alerts it to its presence. So I suppose that they have spent the last day or two the Erlking book, exactly. And what are you going to do? And why do you need it? And it's going to be that. So I suppose we could say that a lot of that has maybe is what tipped him off to, because again, it's obviously not necessarily a gimme that he gets called like every Halloween or anything like that, right? And there's no, I mean, you can call him up at any time for whenever and blah, blah, blah.
I was going to ask, is the Wild Hunt designated for Halloween, or is it just...
It is not. Okay. No,
It's
I mean,
just extra powerful because the barrier between the Never Never and the waking world is
spirits can-
right. Yeah, one of those good times to do it, and it makes sense, but it's not. Yeah, it's not.
does not have to be. It is just most commonly.
But yes, the Erlking is very confused. He's like, all right, you called me. Let's do this. Why did you let me go? Let's go. Let's do this.
And I mean, I think probably even that makes sense. That's what, as we've seen.
He's almost chill for a second because he's just like a normal guy. Like, yeah, bitch, let's fuck shit up. It's going to be fun. And he gets immediately turned down. He's like, oh, this has never happened before. Who the fuck are you?
Right.
And why?
So I was going to say, I think it makes sense in the beginning that, like, why he's not pissed immediately, because we've seen you use circles to summon things. So that part is maybe, like, the norm, right? And again, to block out your other energy. So having, like, a sealed circle to bring him forth.
And not to mention, it's 3 times. It's the 3rd time that he's
too.
finally told no. That's when he freaks the fuck out, where he's like...
Specifically, yeah, right.
It's almost like the little girl who does a summoning ritual just to have a tea party with someone. Like, no one came to my birthday party, so I'm just going to summon the devil. Like,
right? You have to show up. I made you. But yeah, exactly. So I feel like it's kind of like he's like, oh, okay, I totally get why I'm here now. Now that you have fully manifested me and brought me forth. Okay, open the door. Let's do this, right? And he's like, yeah, no. And yeah, just like, can you just imagine like his heat, right? Because he said he's like over 8 feet tall, right? He just kind of squats down or like gets right up to the edge of the circle and just kind of hunkers down in front of him and is like, excuse me?
I just think it's bonkers that the Erlking knows who Harry is, and he's given him a title. He who defied Queen Winter. He who slay Lady Summer.
Yeah.
Very cool, very scary. Makes sense. You can't go to a war with fairies and not have anyone mention shit, okay?
Right, I guess.
You
is, again, another powerful
brokered
fairy.
a deal for the White Council through these actions, okay? The whole point of it kind of was to talk about it and be like,
Right.
hey, by the way.
Makes sense when you get down to it, exactly. And right, he is another powerful powerful being of fairy, right?
Right.
Maybe
He was
not
probably up there
govern-
having a ball.
Maybe, I don't know. He's wild, Faye. Maybe he didn't take sides. Maybe he did. We
He
don't
was just
know.
on killing both sides, just indiscriminately. He's like, fuck you,
Woo!
fuck you.
Right? Who knows what? Who knows? But yeah, so you're right. Like on the one hand, exactly because of Harry's role that he played and succeeded, of course people would. But yeah, at the same time, when you get down, again, when you've been tossing around like, oh, peer of Queen Mab, and yeah, he gets down, he's like, I know you. It's like, oh, fuck you, do you know my, what?
And Harry laying out very truthfully to him, I want to trap you here so that no one else can call you up, because otherwise everyone's gonna die. And just fully laying it out for the Erlking, being like, oh, you know, I'm a big fan. I just wanted an autograph. How are you today? But no, just fully like, yeah, you know why the fuck you got called up. But guess what? I'm gonna put a stop to that.
That's, yeah.
And I do really like the conversation that they have. I really like how they play off of each other. I like the Erlking's obviously pissed off about it, but at the same time totally intrigued and like, you motherfucker. And I like Harry's I like that he is honest in this moment. I like that he fully does say what he's doing, why he's doing it. No shifting around.
Well,
I'm not trying to deceive you. I'm not trying to trick you. This is what my fucking game plan is. I'm the one who summoned you. You came. Fuck you.
Yeah, well, it is interesting because, you know, where would Harry fall on it the other way? Obviously, the Wild Hunt isn't really something Harry's going to be in favor of, because what we've learned about it is exactly, you call it up, it goes forth and basically slaughters anything it comes across, right? So on the one hand, really not cool in a general sense, not cool for humanity, mortals, all that kind of, right, come into our world and just start, I can't really...
Once again, McAnally's Pubcast, not condoning murder.
Not condoning murder, just, yeah, without, you know, just not condoning murder.
Not condoning murder.
Just, yeah. But, you know, but again, Harry is the certain amount of, I can't interfere on, like, this is nature in its own way on another side, right? You know, says, you know, he can't go out and stop everything all the time, and that's just exactly what some of these things do. So yeah, when they specifically are coming after, you know, like he said, he's picked out his area, I guess, to protect, because so on the one hand, right, he's not like, well, we have to kill the Erlking and make sure he doesn't exist anymore, right? So he's like, I'm just going to put that aside for now. I can't address the whole issue of the Wild Hunt in and of itself, right? That's kind of, shit's going to happen. Sometimes he's going to get called up. Hey, if they come through here, we're going to do something about it. If they're doing it, whatever, right? But yeah, the fact that it's specifically going to be used on top of, so it's not just that the hunt is being called, the hunt is going to be called to then draw all the extra on top of
really
power
just
and discretion and whatever, right? So he's like, yeah.
Step 3.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of an interesting whatever that way, right? That he's like, yeah, if otherwise it was happening, maybe, I don't know, right? But he's like, because I specifically know that it's going to have this effect tonight, that now I'm just gonna kind of quietly be like, yo, hey, Brooke, you just chill here for a while, and you know, like
He says to Kamori, I know I don't lie, I can't keep track of it or whatever like that. And I'm like, I don't necessarily believe that. You absolutely mislead constantly, which does count in a lot of scenarios. But okay, sure, yeah, let's be honest with the Erlking right now. That's probably a smart move. And
well, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, again, there's a lot to be said, I think, yeah, for misleading and direct out and out lying. And, you know, so I'm like, again, Harry sort of knows his limits. Like, it can be a little vague, and hopefully nobody calls me on it. But if I specifically make up stories, I'm never going to remember that shit. So.
again, this is, I think, the 4th time this book that he's had to go mentally toe-to-toe with someone and fucking held his own. I pushed my will, I held the front line, and by God, I fucking did it. I held on.
But I'm just Harry. I'm no one important. I'm not that big a deal.
But this is also another thing that keeps reoccurring during this book, is he's being confronted with his reputation repeatedly. And now by somebody who is like a big fucking deal, knows who he is, knows his reputation.
Smaller, and then medium, and then large, and then extra large, keeps coming to Harry, especially with mental powers, and is like, boom, 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 pow, 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 motherfucker, and Harry keeps being like, boom, 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 don't give a shit, fuck you. We had a little bit of a hiccup with Corpse Taker, but in the end, he really did, you know, that...
I mean, he held out for a long time, and...
She cheated, really.
Yeah, he had a lot of things going on, too, exactly. It wasn't just a straight-up one-on-one. It was, yeah, while she's trying trying to mess with his mind. He's got
Shurikens,
tools coming at him, and right,
not fair.
Yeah, there was right, but yeah, like you say, like all the other things, corpse taker and summoning up with Mab and things like that, and blocking out. His hot tub with Lashiel and stuff like that, where he's like, no, go away. And right, like you say, you keep coming up with all these different things that are very much. And again, he made a point of telling us how shitty the council does by actually being able to train anybody to withstand any of that, right? So, yeah, it's funny, right? He's always like, oh yeah, I'm kind of brawny, but he's always like, but I don't know how to eat, right? And here's just one more aspect of that, right? Where it's like,
thus far, it's all been humans, at least. Well, the Lash thing was obviously a projection in his mind, but outside of that, right? It's been a problem with humans that he's been fighting this whole time and trying to get this mental thing, and now he's got a Fae, and he's still holding his own. You're like, fuck yeah, dude, you're so good.
Well, and even that, right? Because like he says, he's got him trapped in a circle when he calls him, then he still speaks directly into his mind. So you got to wonder, what do the properties of that, right? Because he's like, circles are all about containing and the magical and the right. So I'm like, so he has, but he can still project outside of the circle to be able to, telepathically, right? Like, yeah, right? Like,
He's still got some effect on the weather too, being in the circle.
And maybe it's just because it's Harry's circle, so there's a connection.
Maybe, right? But yeah, it begs the question of, well, yeah, like something else to look at, right? Like, what? Yeah. But yeah.
Circle I'd built him and good enough to give me enough leverage to hold him. He just gives away all the credit, kind of. Like, and my circle was good enough. Awesome. Yay. Pat on the back for me.
I think there's quite a bit questioning of his identity that's sort of subtly happening throughout this whole book.
He's just fully not aware of himself.
Yeah, he's getting repeatedly, like I said before, he's getting repeatedly confronted with how other people see him now.
Yeah.
And just not understanding that.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know if the questioning has quite happened yet, because again, but yeah, just exactly that he's just brushing it off. He's unaware of, like, oh, no, it's not that. Oh, no, it's
you
not.
guys are overreacting.
Yeah, everyone's like,
fine.
Dude, have you, okay, stop for a moment, right? And Harry hasn't stopped for a moment yet to really, yeah.
Bro, update your resume. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, right. Right.
And then Linus whacks me on the back of the head. That bitch.
Too, because when he goes out to do this, right, he's like, okay, Butters, you stay in the house here with, like, Bob and Mouse. Keep an eye out. Watch my back. If you see anything, holler. Right? And
I vaguely heard some hollering in the background.
Right. And I'm like, fairness, right? You got this storm that is making noise and both dampening sound around you, plus creating its own
People
background.
just randomly scream for no reason already.
You are in this in-depth, right, fight for life kind of thing, trying to wrestle with the, but it's like, God damn it, for once you actually did have somebody with you, somebody watching your back, somebody that we are going to assume from this snippet is actually going, hey, Harry, hey, wait, watch out behind you. And he's just in no position to acknowledge it or fully catch it or whatever it is, whether it's because he's distracted or just doesn't,
Boot to the head.
Boot to the head. And God fucking damn
This exit scene for, like, the Erlking is, like, this would also be one of those great cinematic moments that to watch this of him, like, his
Demon
steed
King?
arriving. Yes. All of these large pony-sized hounds show up and they woo! Off they go.
Right? Like, yeah, this thing is fucking leaping over Murphy's house. Like, well, yeah, right. Oh, and the lightning going, like, up into the sky from all of these.
It's not the direction lightning's supposed to come from.
That's not how. And Harry's like, I'm just going to lay here on the cold, wet grass for a minute and just, you know what?
Oh, there's another concussion. Add it to the list.
I fucking hate my life.
And once again... Yeah, he can't even just lay there. And yeah, so all of this, right, exactly. He's like, the wild hunt is loose. And I fucking called it. Which, yes, I guess you're right. But at the same time...
You had good intentions.
You had good intentions, but somebody, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he was never going to show up and you pulled this total, like, ace in the hole to try. I'm like, anybody and everybody was going to try and call him tonight anyway. So, I mean, the fact that it was you is really the least of your problem.
Do you think, if like, the two, as we find out, that are legitimately also going to try and call the Erlking tonight, prepared something a little bit nicer, and they're like, because they want him, like, they've got, like, steak or, like, honey and teacups and things like that. And Erlking's gonna go hit him up and be like, where's my real offerings, motherfucker?
Yeah, right.
Fuck that guy's parking ticket. What do you have over here?
I gotta say, like, he used an awful lot of steel, which, I mean, does that
and
fall
that was-
under cold iron? Like,
It does, and he makes that point while he's doing it that it's got enough on. Because, yeah, he was building the prison. He wasn't building a welcoming circle. He was building a prison, right? So, yeah, he has had all, like,
Yeah, sure, they're weapons. You like weapons.
Yeah,
It's not weapons you
brought
can use.
stuff to attract him, but Harry's side of it was all the barbed wire.
All
and
I was
the
thinking of when I read that, I was like, he really must have to have a really great blacksmith to like design all of his, because he pulls out a sword. So it's got to be something it's like titanium, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know, because Harry's mentioned before he has a sword cane, or you mean the Erlking pulls out his sword. Oh yeah,
It's just made of shell and bone.
Yeah, we already know like fairy weapons. They have their because the Summer Lady had like chainmail and stuff like that, right? So we know
Made of mithril.
Yeah, they have their own special that's not got iron in it, but yeah.
He just calls it steel is the one that he picks for him.
Yep.
Like that could be really still anything.
Manufactured metal ally. Don't ask any more questions.
So here you go. Erlking is loose. Harry flops over. Cowell's got his own gun, which I guess is part of the problem with using some of your own tools to make this thing.
I scatter multiple weapons that can kill me around my person, and then I lose all focus of the area around me.
Right, he had the Bowie knife for the Erlking, and he's got his weapons, all these steel arrowheads. Yeah, exactly.
He's too busy down in the dirt eating worms. It's fine, along with the rest of the Peanuts gang.
Right? Yeah. Oh, it's always such a pity when someone with such talent dies so young. He killed me, it's my birthday.
This concludes our episode 13.25, The Wild Hunt. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Wander by it at your own risk.